but...
Yeah, I agree with you.
But you said expectations are too high, and you also mentioned, well, men wanting women who are virgins. Is that like a too high of an expectation?
I think, not that there's anything wrong with that, but if a man has a high body count and only wants to date or sleep with virgins, I find it creepy, honestly.
Oh, okay. Well, we can get into that.
I find it, no, I do, because if you yourself are not saving yourself for marriage, and it's not like a religious thing where you think you can sleep with whoever you want.
What if it becomes a religious thing?
But I mean, it's kind of too late for that. But
no, it's kind of not.
So a woman can
hang on.
A woman can sleep with 100 men and then wait till marriage?
Let's back up. They do. But let's back up real quick.
Okay.
Let's start with, you say, well, if it's not a religious thing, what if it becomes a religious thing?
I'm not saying it can't become a religious thing.
Is it creepy then?
But if a man has a body count of 100, just using a random number, and only wants women who are virgins, I find that very creepy and almost predatory.
What if he get... Well, hang on. Let me finish.
Okay, yeah.
So let's say he gets to 100. Okay? Gets to 100, converts to Christianity, says, I want to get married to a virgin, but I'm not going to sleep with her before we're married. Is that still creepy?
Why would you want a virgin?
To answer the question, is it still creepy?
I do think it's still creepy. That I find it almost fetishizing the fact that she's a virgin.
Even if he's still
Why would it be a fetish?
So I just don't see the requirements.
Isn't that under the purview of his religious belief?
Okay, if you want someone with a low body count or someone who also wants to wait for marriage,
why not a virgin?
Fine.
That's the lowest body count.
Okay,
right?
but why? Why do you want that?
Well, what if he's doing it via divine command? What if they think it's divine command?
But you yourself were not.
I didn't say I was, but I'm asking about divine command.
It's not hypocritical.
Where's the hypocrisy?
It's being hypocritical because you yourself are not a virgin and you're only looking to marry a virgin. So
what you've just done,
despite whether or not she's had 100 bodies in the past, and now is saying, "I'll wait till marriage for my 101st body."
What you've just done is made an argument from hypocrisy, which is a fallacy, right? So can you make the argument not from hypocrisy and give me an actual argument for why that's in any way, shape, or form wrong?
I never said it's wrong.
You said it was predatory and creepy.
Well, Well,
predatory sounds pretty wrong.
Okay, I do think it's a little off if a man wants a virgin and they themselves were not in the past.
Yeah, why? You find that your preference is...
Because...
It's just say, it's my preference, but there's no real argument.
When men think of virgins, they typically think of the adjectives innocent, young...
Virtuous.
Pure.
Virtuous, fine.
Pure.
Pure.
So men who find virtue are not allowed to go for maximum virtue.
Before I answer that.
Okay.
If there was a woman who, let's just say not even 100, 10 bodies, right? She has 10 bodies. She said, you know what? I found God. I'm going to wait till marriage for the rest. And that same man who has had 100 bodies and now has reformed and found God and wants to wait till marriage automatically disqualifies her just for the fact that she is not a virgin.
What's he doing wrong?
You don't find that creepy at all?
No. What's he doing wrong?
He's not necessarily doing anything wrong.
Okay, so hang on. He's not doing anything wrong. He's not doing anything immoral. He's also doing something which is maximum virtue from your purview. So tell me, why do you find it creepy outside of, it just gives me the ick?
It's the same instance.
No. Anything besides it just gives me the ick?
I will.
Okay.
Can I ask you another question before I continue? Do you find a 40-year-old man sleeping with an 18-year-old woman to be creepy?
Don't give a flying fuck. Not even a little.
I personally find that creepy and predatory.
Do you think she should vote?
That's a whole other discussion.
Oh, well, wait a second. You don't want this dumb chick who these evil predators can just come and mangle her brain. You don't want them to be able to... Hang on. You don't want them to be able to vote and then cancel out the well-informed vote of 40-year-old men, do you?
Keep it here, Nick.
Why does any 40-year-old man, you're halfway through your life, want to have sex with someone fresh out of high school? Or maybe still in high school?
Well, okay.
Who gives a shit?
Yeah, who gives a shit? Why is it that 18-year-old women should be allowed to vote?
I never said they should or shouldn't.
Should 21-year-olds be allowed to vote?
I think that high schoolers maybe should not vote. But
even at 18?
That's a whole... Yeah, a lot of 18-year-olds are still in high school or just graduating.
So then why not just advocate this instead? Instead of saying, I find it creepy the age gap, right?
Yes.
Why not just say, I want to raise the age of consent to 21?
Because I don't think the age of consent should be raised to 21.
Right, okay, so just the age of consent between too much of an age gap. How much is the age gap that you think is too much?
What's that equation divided by 2 plus 7 or something?
So that's just all ick, though. Isn't that just all ick?
I don't think.
So, like, can a 40-year-old man hook up with a 70-year-old woman? Can he marry a 70-year-old woman? Is that too much of an age gap?
They can. I think an 18-year-old is a child. I think anyone under 25 does not have a fully developed brain.
Then why are they fucking allowed to vote and join the military and do all this other fucking shit? Why can they buy cigarettes? Why can they buy beer? Why can they drive cars? What are you doing?
18-year-olds cannot buy beer.
No, you say
21-year-olds.
up until 25,
Yes,
their
and
brains
there
aren't
are a
fully
lot of
developed.
restrictions.
So why don't at
As
21?
far as
All
you
restrictions are
mentioned
basically
drinking,
gone.
Smoking,
At 21, it's
renting
all gone.
cars.
Don't-
No, at 25.
Wait.
it's
Wait. Back up.
restriction-free.
First of all, at 21 years old,
Yes.
basically all restrictions off the table, right? There's very few that aren't there. And when it comes to like getting a car, that's because of insurance purposes. 25-year-olds have way more experience driving. That's why. It's fairly simple, right? So we move
Just
back.
like 25-year-olds have much more life experience.
Yeah, but here's the question, right? Why is it that a 40-year-old and 18-year-old can't make the decision to get married? Right?
I never said they could not.
Or hook up or whatever it is they want to do, right? But the 18-year-old can nullify the vote of the 40-year-old if you think that the disparity in their brains are that bad.
You keep bringing up the voting argument when I never mentioned voting.
I
at
know,
all.
I mentioned it because I'm giving you an analogy for why your argument's absurd. I'm giving you an analogy
If
by
you-
pointing out this thing over here exists and is fine because Schrodinger's feminist, who can both vote and is a girl boss and is an ass kicker, could do everything at 18 years old, suddenly is matched up with an evil 40-year-old Sith Lord who just wants to mangle her fucking brain so he can sleep with her. Is she competent enough to deal with this ass-kicking feminist? Or do we need to raise the age of consent so that this hyper-predatory Sith Lord can't mangle her brain?
Most 40-year-old men at some point in their life, when they're younger, had a child that is probably 18 or older. So if you are at an age where you're sleeping with a woman the age of potentially your own daughter, I find that extremely predatory and creepy.
Well, I find it predatory that woman could be sleeping with a man the age of her father.
You can't even
What
have
a sick
you
bitch.
can't
What
even
a
have
sick bitch.
You can't.
Take that bitch to prison.
Oh my God.
You can't even have a serious conversation.
That's a serious argument.
using all these goofy
It's as
voices
serious of an
because your
argument as your argument. I can't believe he's sleeping with someone the age of his daughter. Well, I can't believe she's sleeping with someone the age of her father.
I stated the fact that men specifically want younger women.
And I just stated that in this
usually-
case, the younger woman must
agree.
also want the man.
I agree, and I think that's weird, okay? But there's a completely different aspect.
This makes no sense. What are you talking? If she wants it and he wants it, your problem
Okay.
is just it gives me the ick.
No, so let's
Just
use
say
your
it gives you the
example.
ick.
Let's
You're
give
never
your
going to win this
example.
argument.
So there's an 18-year-old with
Okay.
a body count of 100, and she
Uh-huh.
finds a 40-year-old virgin dude, and she wants to train him to be her husband and to take care of him and look after him and all that. I mean, everyone has their own cup of tea, but that's weird. Why would an 18-year-old...
What do you mean train him?
She's an adult. She can make her own decisions.
Most 40-year-old men who are looking for virgins or 18, 19-year-old women want to train them how to be their woman. That's why they go for the innocent young women.
Oh.
They don't want someone with prior experience.
Oh, and so why are those younger women going for those older men?
It's typically the men who go for the younger
And but
women.
why are those women going
Because
with those
the older
men?
men have convinced them because they're
Oh.
young and
no,
dumb.
I think that the younger women just want their fucking resources and are using their beauty in order to entice them so they can take all their shit.
Fact.
You tell me why I'm wrong and you're right.
I didn't say you're not wrong, but I don't...
So what makes you
I'm,
right?
I'm just making the point that I think men...
Now tell me why
I think
I'm
older
wrong.
men focusing on wanting virgins is very creepy.
Well, I think that younger women,
And yes, that's
the
an
fact
opinion.
that
That's
younger
an opinion.
women will entice these 40-year-old men to take their resources, I think that's creepy.
I don't know why you're so defensive. If you
Well,
weren't
I'm
married, would you
pointing
want
out-
to have sex with an 18-year-old woman?
Oh my God, what does that have to do with the price of tea in China? What does that have to do with anything?
Can you answer yes or no?
What? What was
if
the question
you were an
again?
unmarried man, would you want to have sex with an 18-year-old woman?
No, I wouldn't.
Why?
That wouldn't be my preference because it's not my preference. But if it were, I wouldn't see anything wrong with it, and you wouldn't either. You got.
Why-
You have.
why is it
hang
not
on.
your
Shh.
preference?
You have no moral argument. Not a single one. You have not a single argument that you've given thus far, other than it's fucking icky. Now, when you're ready to give me an argument, and I'm going to sit here and wait.
I gave you
hang on. I'm
multiple
going to
arguments
wait.
just because you dismissed them.
I'm
going to
wait. Hang on, hang on. I'm going to wait to hear
said-
anything other than it gives me the ick. Go ahead.
I said there is a high likelihood that that man might have a daughter the same age as this woman he wants to have sex with.
So,
That is morally wrong.
why?
Because she feels like it.
Why?
That is wrong.
Why?
Because a man should not be sexualizing woman his daughter's age.
What if
Yes,
his daughter's 30?
Wait, can I jump in on
Hang
this
on,
really
hang
quick?
on. What if his daughter's 30?
If his daughter's, honestly, if you think it's okay to fuck,
What if he's 50
Women-
and his daughter's 30 and she brings a friend home who's also 30? Is he a fucking creep?
I find that, yes.
That's so, why is that immoral again?
It's okay. I will say it is my opinion. It is my opinion.
It's ick.
Base.
Just say it's ick.
Why do you
Just
want me
take
to
the
use
L
word
and
for
say
that?
the ick.
It's not taking an L.
Just take the L and say it's the ick, Andrew. I have zero arguments at all. Just say it.
I stated multiple arguments. I said her brain is not fully developed. She is young, probably fresh out of high school. She does not have nearly as much life experience. That man is old enough to be her father.
So is it
plus some
immoral?
years. I find it immoral, yes.
Okay, so let's start again. We'll start with the first one. Give me the one argument you think where it's immoral. Let's start with that one. Go ahead.
I find it immoral and hypocritic to...
You can't make an argument from hypocrisy. It's fallacious, so that's dismissed. But you can go ahead and make a different argument, which is moral. Do that.
Yes, it is morally wrong if you are an older man who has had multiple sexual partners to only be interested in innocent, pure young women, to want to train them to be yours and potentially manipulate them into
Great.
being yours.
Why is that immoral?
That's not always the intent to manipulate.
Why is that immoral?
Yeah. For the
Because-
800th time, why?
I said it is an opinion when it comes to this.
Then that's not, it's just your opinion, it's immoral?
Yes,
Your moral argument is it's my opinion.
sure, we'll say that. Sure.
I'm going to go have a cigarette.
Can I interject?
Well, have another
a lot of
beer,
people
too.
agree
I will
with her.
take over. I'm going to take over from there. If you want to take a seat, our good Chilean
I
soldier.
just don't
I'll
understand.
engage with you on the
Okay.
debate, though. So, okay. So you think an 18-year-old woman cannot consent to sex with a man you used
I never
40.
stated that.
But you were making the argument that their brains, I don't even know if this is true, that their brains are not fully developed. Your brain
that
is
is
not fully developed until you're 25.
Yes, that is true.
Okay, so because their brain is not developed until they're 25, they should
It was
not what?
the argument wasn't even about age at first. It turned into that. It was about body
Virginity.
count and
Yes,
virginity.
it was about virginity.
I said
Yeah.
I don't know why.
You're the one who brought
Yes, I did.
being young into it, because a woman could be 25 and 30, and she could be actually funnily enough. Next week, we have a 39 and a 40-year-old virgin women coming on the show. So you can be a virgin and be in your late 20s, 30s.
People can die virgins. People can
Absolutely.
be a virgin at any
Yes,
age.
absolutely.
But I
you
don't-
brought the young thing, the young.
It
thing
was more of
into
a question versus a debate. I was trying
Sure.
to understand, why do men idolize?
By the way, Andrew's cracking up. But I wish we had a camera. Andrew's cracking up out there. Oh no, you're good. I'm just telling them we see you cracking up out there.
It's not what you think.
Oh, okay, something else. Okay.
We weren't laughing at Malik.
I don't know why men idolize and glorify
Virginity?
virgins and young women, especially considering if they are older or have high body
I
count.
kind of get that to a degree because you obviously have this grooming culture.
Oh my God, it's not grooming to desire a partner with a low body count.
No.
Or-
I'm not saying that they go hand in hand. I'm saying that a small minority of people that do go looking for a small body count do.
Do you think the majority of men who prefer women with a low body count or who prefer virgins are grooming women?
That's why I said a small minority.
Let's just remove that off the table because it's kind of an exceptional scenario. And grooming is a very specific term here. Okay. So wait, I want to engage with you a little bit on this. So you said that people are not, their brains are not fully developed until they're the age of 25, right?
Yes.
So do you think then, and you think this is the case for both men and women, or is it just women who are, you know,
I mean, you can fact check me. I believe
are
that's
more
just science.
likely? No, but do you think it's, you think this applies more so to women because typically men tend to have more of a preference towards younger, keyword, women, and I think it's typically not the case for women to prefer younger men.
I mean, I think it goes
So do you
both
think we
ways,
should
but you see it more in the man being older.
Okay, so given the fact that you said that women should not be, I'm not exactly sure what you're trying to say here, but you're saying that, well, this is not okay because their brains are not developed until they're 25. Andrew already asked you this, but do you think we should roll back voting rights for women until they're 25?
I think 25 is a bit steep for that.
So you think we should raise the voting age?
But I wouldn't be opposed to
For just
raising-
women or for both men and women?
For both men and women, I wouldn't be opposed to raising
Okay.
the minimum age. However, for men, since men can be drafted at 18, I don't think it's fair to draft them and not have them be able to vote.
So can
Well,
an
that's-
18-year-old man, is it creepy for him to go for a 40-year-old woman then?
But if a 40-year-old woman goes for an 18-year-old man, I do find that creepy.
I mean, that's
That
what's
man
going
can
on
be
with
her
Amber
son.
Rose right now.
Wait,
right?
so if the younger one goes for the older one, that's not creepy?
Not necessarily.
So then this is not a moral argument at all. This is just, you got the ick,
Okay,
right? It's just
maybe
you
I
got the ick.
But can you explain to me why men desire young, pure virgins?
Well, yes, I can actually, and I can lay it out the best possible way. 1, men value fertility. 2, the reason that they want women who have a low body count is because until recently, technology has made it possible for us to determine whether or not the offspring that we have is actually ours. Before that, what determined whether or not the offspring was ours?
So what if?
Hang on. Before that, what determined if the offspring was ours? What would be the best way for you to determine
If
your
you had
offspring
sex
was
with them,
actually
if you had sex with that person.
exclusively, right?
Yes.
And so promiscuity and multiple sex partners would definitely lower your kind of ability to know whether or not the offspring was
But that's
actually
irrelevant
yours.
because
Why?
if you find a woman who in the past had under 5 sexual partners, hasn't slept with anyone in
Sure.
years,
Yeah.
a lot of men would still disqualify her from being in a romantic relationship just because she's not a virgin.
Yeah, but you're asking.
that's what I'm
Well, you're
asking for an
making two
explanation on.
bizarre distinctions, though. You're asking why would men be attracted to X, right? Versus the descriptor of there's lots of men who, if you had X
No, I can
behavior,
understand-
would push that aside.
I
Now-
can understand why they're attracted to virgins, but specifically that they even if the bi counts 1, 2, 3, it's a hard no.
Well, again,
I don't think that's a lot of men's standards,
but even if
It is a considerable amount.
but
though.
let's just say it was all of their standards, like all men. That was their standards, right? That old I don't know, no hymen, no diamond, or whatever, right?
No
that's,
hymen, no
You're right. That's all of their standards. It would still actually make sense as to why, because a woman who's a virgin and you're the person who takes that, you know what I mean, through marriage or whatever. Your assurance of your offspring actually being yours is what percentage?
It would be 100%.
That's it.